down the block. But anyway, you know what you guys are? You guys are the Stoics and the Epicureans back at Mars Hill, which is Areopagus, is it? Damn.
It's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister to me. Areopagus. I still said it wrong. I gotta read it to say it, all right? But anyway, people, right?
That's right.
Now it says here in Acts 17, right? It says, and I'm gonna jump around. Acts 17 and 16. I'm gonna jump around. It says now, this is when Paul was in Athens, all right? It said now while Paul waited for them in Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. These are Israelites that adopted the Hellenistic ways. So these were Israelites, blacks who spoke Greek, who followed the Greek customs, the Greek customs and so forth, right? It says this, it says 17, verse 17 of Acts 17. It says, therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him. All right? 18 verse. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics. Now, when you look up the Epicureans and the Stoics, it take you back to this man by the name of, I believe his name is Zeno of Citium. And he lived around 300 years before the birth of our Lord. And he was the one that came up with that concept, those schools of philosophy and so forth. And that's where these guys came, so many hundreds of years later. And that's what you guys are. That's what you guys remind me of. You know, you black consciousness guys, you were probably the same reincarnated back in the day as those guys that encountered Paul. All right? Mm-hmm. It says, then certain philosophers, by the way, the word philosopher means, it's broken up into two words, philo meaning love or lover, and sophos meaning sophers or sophos meaning wisdom, lovers of wisdom. Okay? It said, then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics encountered him, which was Paul. And some said, what will this babbler say? And that's what you guys, you guys debate among each other. You have the Moors debating among the Kemites, and the Kemites debating among this group.
Yeah. And
now you got Israel in the fray. Oh. So that's what you guys are basically saying. Look at these, what do these babblers have to say? Mm-hmm. I'll read it again. It says, what will this babbler, excuse me, I just lost the page. All right, it says, what will this babbler say of his son? He seems to be a setter forth of strange gods. Mm. Because us teaching you about Israel and the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, to you, they're strange gods. All right? It says, he seemeth to be a setter forth of strange gods. These are Israelites talking. Mm-hmm. Because he preached unto them, and the word there is Jesus, which is the Lord, and the resurrection. 19 verse. And they took him and brought him unto Areopagus. See, I can say it when I read it. Saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is. So they call it a new doctrine. 20th verse. For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know therefore what these things mean.
Strange things to our ears.
Right. 21st verse. For all the Athens, which were Israelites, strangers which are Israelites, which were there, spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. And that's what those guys do. They're down there on 125th Street, and they got their little philosophies going back and forth, and then they'll call for a debate. And then the people that come, let's say half of the people come for one guy, and the other half come for the other guy, and when they all leave, none of them switch over.
Yeah.
None of them switch over, man.
Confused, man.
So let me read this again. It said, for all the Athenians, which are Israelites, and you saw the movie 300, right? There was a reason why and get that in the Apocrypha, brother. In the, what is that, 2nd Ezra 12, is it? Or Ecclesi? No, Maccabees. I'm sorry, it's in Maccabees. I'm sorry. I think it's 1 Maccabees 12, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, all of y'all went out and saw that movie 300, right? And they showed in that movie, they had this guy, King Leonidas, and he had this big, long, bushy beard. Denzel should have played King Leonidas, man. And the characters behind him, the other 300, they should have all been black men, whether they be NBA players, NFL players, or bodybuilders, man.
That's right.
That long bushy beard gave you a clue. They showing you those were Jakes, man.
That's right, straight up and down.
Those were Jakes, man. Now it was the Spartans that referred to the Athenians as boy lovers. Yo, those were weak ass Israelites, man.
Yeah.
You know? You got that, brother? Bring that out and then get the backup to it, man.
All right, this is the book of.
Because we ain't playing, man. We real about this.
That's right, man.
1 Maccabees chapter 12, verse 1. Now when Jonathan saw that the time served him, he chose certain men and sent them to Rome, for to confirm and renew the friendship that they had with them. He sent letters also to
qualify that.
So it says, now Jonathan saw that the time served him.
Jonathan was an Israelite amongst the Maccabees fighting against the Syrians, which the head Syrian was Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus Epiphanes, which the place Antioch is named after his family line, all right? Which he was an Edomite. He was going around saying he was a Syrian. He was a daggone Edomite, man. So this was one of the Israelites fighting against this guy. And they had a truce with the Romans, which at that time were for the most part the sons of Japhet. All right? The so-called Hawaiians and the Samoans. They were the ones, when you go back to Romulus and Remus, they were Japhet. They weren't white. They were dark-skinned. Okay?
He chose certain men and sent them to Rome for to confirm and renew the friendship that they had with them. He sent letters also to the Lacedaemonians and to other places for the same purpose. So they went unto Rome and entered into the Senate and said, Jonathan the high priest and the people of the Jews sent us unto you, to the end you shall renew the friendship which you had with them and league as in former time. Upon this the Romans gave them letters unto the governors of every place, that they should bring them into the land of Judea peaceably. And this is the copy of the letters which Jonathan wrote to the Lacedaemonians. Jonathan the high priest, and the elders of the nation, and the priests, and the other people of the Jews unto the Lacedaemonians their brethren send greetings. So that's it right there. Jonathan the high priest, and the elders of the nation, which is the nation of Israel, and the priests, and the other people of the Jews. So he's talking about the Jews, the Israelites. Unto the Lacedaemonians, their brethren send greetings. Why? Because the Lacedaemonians and the Jews were brothers. So now, when you go into the New Standard Translation, I believe it is, or the Standard Translation, something like that, which is a more updated version, which is a newer version, they put, for the place of the Lacedaemonians, they put Spartans. Because those Lacedaemonians were Spartans. So it's saying here that the Jews are brothers with the Lacedaemonians, which the Lacedaemonians are Spartans. So let you know that those Spartans, like Leonidas and the 300, they were actually Israelites that were calling themselves Spartans, which goes back to prove what we've been saying about the Israelite foreigners that were calling themselves by different names. They were calling themselves Greeks, but they were really Israelites that took on the customs of the Greeks, that learned the language of the Greeks. but they were also black men, which were Israelites.
Oh, and some, those Romans, like Elder Tahar broke down, that wasn't the wrong, because the scholars will probably say this, and a lot of you will probably say, yes, those are them Edomite Romans. That was Japheth at that time, but when Esau came in, when them Edomites, the Greeks, and other Edomites started taking over everything, the Greeks took over everything, man, but then the Romans came into power. That was when Esau came in there, and they pushed out the Japhetic people that was in there, and they moved in and pretty much took over their customs with the Senate and the Rome. Because Esau, they took over, but they set everything up as if they were the Romans. There's a scripture on that, man. They take everything and make it as if it was theirs. That's what they did. So the Roman Senate that they're talking about, that's not the same Edomites that was moving.
Japheth, those are sons
Those
of
were
Japheth.
Japheth.
Yep.
But when the Greeks took over everything, and then eventually Esau went up into Rome and pushed the real Romans out, meaning the Japhetic people. They moved in, set up shop, and just took it over as their own.
That's why you got certain scholars saying that or black scholars or Hebrew scholars that say that the white men are the sons of Japheth. They're not the sons of Japheth. They occupied the land of Japheth, which are the dark-skinned Hawaiian, Samoan, South Pacific type.
What proves that is you have a group of Japhetic people that used to dwell in the islands of the Mediterranean Sea. They were known as the Minoans. Now, when you look at the picture of the Minoans, you can see that they look just like the Samoans, like the Hawaiians, like the Tongans. They look just like them. They had the tattoos all over their bodies, just like the Tongans and them do. So that just goes to show that those are the real Japhites that the so-called white man, when he came into power, pushed out. Now, this is in the same chapter, 1 Maccabees 12 and 18. It says, 19. And this is the copy of the letters which Onias sent. Arius, king of the Lacedaemonians, which are Spartans, to Onias the high priest, greeting. It is found in writing, so this was actually written about in the historical records of Israel. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and the Jews are brethren.
Oh.
And that they are of the stock of Abraham. So those Spartans were Israelites. They were of the seed of Abraham, because the chosen line was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they came through Abraham's line, and they were Israelites, because they were brothers. Brethren, kin. So there's a lot of history out there that hasn't been touched on, that's been left in the dust. And some of these guys that make these movies, they know about this history, but they can't put it out.
Oh no, they know it, man.
Yeah, they can't put it out because...
See, what you Kemetic dudes think the white man knows everything, man.
Yeah, that's right.
He
got one up on y'all, man.
Yep.
That so-called Egyptology that you study, where do you think you got it from, man? Where do you think Dr. Yosef Ben Yaakam got it from? And Yosef Ben Yaakam is a Hebrew name. Why would he call himself a Kemet or a so-called African, and he has a Hebrew name?
Yeah.
Joseph Ben Yaakam.
Them guys are off, man. Well, a lot of them guys are part of the Boule Society anyway. They're set up, a lot of those so-called leaders like this guy, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, which I met that nigga years ago.
Oh, yeah, I ran into him. I talked to him. I sat next to him in the auditorium when they had a thing on BET. I was sitting right next to that guy, man.
Out there, I met him at the African Street Festival about 12, 13 years ago. And that nigga think he's a celebrity. Just tell them Dr. Jeffries said so.
Yeah, I mean, he was cool. He was cool. He was a cool brother,
But the dude's cocky. But a lot of them guys are set up by Esau to push them lies on you so-called Negroes and the other tribes to keep you blinded, man. They're part of that secret society, which is an offshoot of them of the so-called Masons, called the Boule Society, which is a so-called black inner circle Masonic group. Martin Luther King was a member of that.
Black Skull and Bones.
The Black Skull and Bones.
Yeah, let me say this to you Kemetic brothers out there. You always pushing that stuff. How can the Hebrews eat how can you Hebrews eat your own babies? And then you quote, you don't actually give the direct quote, but you're quoting out of Deuteronomy 28, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. It's also found in, I believe, one of the books of Kings, and it's found in the Apocrypha about the account of cannibalism. All right? My question is this. I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the answer. That's an easy thing to answer. But my question to you is this. Answer me this. What time did that take place? What time did the cannibalism take place that's mentioned in Deuteronomy 28? If you can tell me that, I'll tell you why it happened. Anyway, let me read this. Reading on, Acts 17:21. For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else, and that's you brothers to a T, but either to tell or to hear some new thing.
Yep, that's it. It's basically just like when rappers are battling each other. That's all you guys are doing. You just battling each other with different types of wisdoms out there.
To see who sounds the night. The other Tahar, we were watching the Lean. He's another one. You Moors, the Aziza Moors. You guys, it's all about putting together ice cream on top. Sugar.
Well, you know what they do? They get a lot of information from various sources, and they just mix them all together.
That's
they
right.
Storm at people, and you people that are not schooled and wise, you're not sophisticated enough to decipher that madness. You suck it all in because they make it sound good, you know.
Yeah. Hey, others, you know what they doing? Aleem and all you guys putting putting ice cream on top of shit with a cherry on top.
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
And his head, it's ice cream, brother. This ain't shit. That's all you guys are doing, man.
Yep, that's right. Now it says in the 22nd verse of the same chapter, Acts 17. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill, which is Harlem. which is Harlem.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's Mars Hill.
Yeah.
Which was formerly in Athens, Greece, Areopagus. All right. It says, then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill, Areopagus, and said, ye men of Athens. He was talking to Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. And then it says, 23rd verse, for as I passed by and beheld your devotion, I found an altar. Remember earlier he said that the city was wholly filled with idols, right?
Right.
So there was this one idol or one placard or altar. It says, I found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship him, declare I unto you. Now what did Paul say to this? Because you had two knuckleheads that went back to Nate. They used to be down with Foy, which is the future world of Israel. Two brothers, look like twins. They had ran back with their tails between their legs to Nate to join back with Nate.
Yeah.
Oh, he was great.
And they had a little debate with the GMS brothers down there in, what's that, Virginia? Richmond, Virginia? You know the brother, that brother, that's the talented brother. He does cooking shows. He does all that, man, you know? And that brother right there, I forget his name, man. Forgive me. I forget his name. But he even said he started with Nate. Yeah. Then when he heard us, he said, nah, man, I'm going with GMS. Right. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, he was kind of debating with you guys from the future world of Israel. And one of the twin brothers had brought out this scripture and saying, see, we don't know the name of the Most High. You dummy, it ain't talking about that, okay? But you don't know, you haven't been taught. I'm going to read it again with understanding. I'm going to break it down to you.
That goes back to Nate.
That's right. And Nate, you're not, like Lahab said, you're not qualified to philosophize.
Yeah, that's right.
All right?
That's right.
I was there when he said it, brother. I was right there when Lahab said that. Lahab should know because he ain't qualified to philosophize either. Well, anyway, Acts 17:23. This is a very important verse. It says, for as I pass, this is Paul speaking, the Apostle Paul, for as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. The unknown God is talking about the Most High. Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you. So they knew that there was a God, but they didn't know his name.
Right.
Huh? Yeah, it's like they don't know the Lord.